If you grow roses in Southern California, then wintertime pruning is one of the most important things you can do to have strong growth and abundant flowers. And it may seem strange to do that in Southern California, where our mild winter causes the rose to not go fully dormant many times, but the plant will still benefit from wintertime pruning sometime between January and February to guarantee a nice, strong spring growth. In this video, I'm pruning several Floribunda roses. I'll cut them back to about knee height, remove any dead, diseased, damaged, or crossing branches, and shape the plant so new growth grows up and out. I'll also remove any remaining leaves and clean up all the debris to reduce disease pressure. Let's begin. The first step is to reduce the overall height. And for Floribundas in Southern California, one way to prune them is to cut them back to about knee height. This is roughly 18 to 24 inches tall, and I don't worry too much about being exactly within that parameter. I just look to anything growing above my knee and chop it right down. This might feel aggressive to cut this much off of your plant, but it really can help to reset the plant's structure, and it'll encourage strong new growth in the spring, oftentimes coming up from down near the base. And Floribunda roses bloom on the new wood, so this kind of pruning will actually increase the flowering. You want to make sure you make clean cuts with sharp bypass pruners, and you want to cut about 1/4 inch above an outward facing bud. Many books will tell you to cut at a slight angle so that water sheds away from the bud, but typically I haven't noticed any difference in the angle of the cut, and a flat cut doesn't seem to pool too much water. I haven't noticed disease gather in that spot, but you can cut at an angle if that makes you feel good. At this first stage, I'm not worrying too much about perfection. I'm just trying to reduce the overall size so that I can see kind of the framework of the plant and make future decisions from there. The next step is to refine the structure, and you remove what are called the 4 Ds. The 4 Ds are dead, diseased, damaged, and dysfunctional branches. The dead wood is usually darker brown or gray in color, and it's brittle on the inside. You can differentiate that from healthy, dormant wood because the healthy wood is sometimes green on the outside. It'll be flexible, and if you're very uncertain, you can make a small cut, and you'll notice the green cambium layer underneath the healthy wood, whereas the dead wood would just be gray, dead inside, and break apart. It's good to remove the dead wood first so that you don't accidentally leave that later as a branch you'd like to keep. If you remove the dead stuff, then it guarantees all the future selections you make are only going to be living plant material. The next thing to remove is the diseased branches, or canes as we call them with roses. Diseased canes will show dark lesions or little spots, sometimes blackened tissue. That's an indication that it has a disease, probably a fungal disease, and you're better off removing that particular branch. And then the third D is anything damaged. If it's been broken by an animal, by a person walking by, or by the wind, you'll see like a split or a break, some kind of mechanical injury on the wood, and that's a great candidate to remove. Sometimes you'll notice damage that's a result of last year's pruning and old pruning scars or areas that didn't heal properly. This is also a good time to remove that, to clean that up. And then the final category of the 4 Ds is dysfunctional branches. And this refers to anything that's just kind of not in the right place. And it could include things growing into a pathway or at a spot that is a little inconvenient, even in front of like an irrigation emitter or something. But usually we also look at, for roses, crossing branches, anything that's crossing over another branch. If it's touching, then the friction can cause a wound and it'll block airflow. So it's good to remove one of those crossing branches. Usually if there's a weaker one or one growing inward, that would be the one to remove. So anything crossing, also as I said, anything growing inward toward the center of the plant, that's a good candidate to remove, because our goal is to have sort of an open vase-shaped form at the end with good air circulation and good light penetration. And then the next step in the pruning is to focus on directional pruning. And it's important to remember that in the wintertime, every cut you make is going to influence where the plant will grow next. So you want to cut just above a bud that faces up and outward. This encourages the new shoot to grow away from the center of the plant, and it keeps the structure open and balanced. If you cut to an inward-facing bud, then the plant will grow back into itself, which is something you want to avoid. You want to make sure every cut you make is deliberate, and remember that the decisions you make today are going to shape the plant for the rest of the season. In colder climates, the roses will naturally shed their leaves, but in Southern California, they often hold on to some foliage throughout the year. And this is a time to remove any remaining leaves by hand. When you remove all the leaves, this is going to reduce the pressure of pests, and particularly any fungal spores like black spot or powdery mildew that might overwinter in the garden. And it's also going to signal to the plant that it's time to kind of reset or push out clean new growth. And so just remember that after pruning, you want this plant to be essentially bare of leaves. A few little small leaves remaining is not going to be a problem, but it should look like just bare plants without a bunch of leaves. Finally, the last step is to rake up every leaf, every stem, any kind of pruning fragments that are left on the soil surface. It's very important to have good sanitation in our mild winter climate, because many pathogens will overwinter in the fallen leaves, and if and when there's rain or irrigation, the water can even splash against those leaves, splash up onto the plant, and reinfect the plant. So by removing this debris, you're going to reduce the pressure for reinfection in the spring. You have the option to compost this plant material on site, but if you don't have a very hot compost type of system, there's a chance that the diseases will survive the process. And so it would usually be best on a small-scale residential type of setting to just dispose of the plant material in the traditional sort of green waste situation, which hopefully goes and gets composted at a commercial facility and goes through a process of pathogen reduction. Just remember that clean ground equals healthier roses. Then after pruning and cleaning up the ground, it's good to apply a balanced organic fertilizer and a fresh layer of mulch. But you might want to wait until the new growth begins. When it comes to the fertilizer, it could be organic or synthetic. It doesn't make a difference to the plant. However, organic is nice. It has the added benefit of coming in a form that rarely will hurt the plant if you apply too much. So often it tends to require a few extra steps of breakdown before it releases those soluble nutrients, and that helps to slow down the release and guarantee that you won't burn your plants. After fertilizing, you want to apply a fresh layer of mulch. This could just be arborist wood chips, or even finished compost can act like a mulch. Within about 6 to 8 weeks, then these plants should be pushing out strong red shoots and beginning to set their first flush of blooms. Just remember that hard pruning now leads to better structure, stronger canes, and more flowers. Thanks for watching, and enjoy your spring roses.